On iRacing, some series are sometimes described as dead simply because they don't have races going off every other hour, 24 hours a day. But anyone who manages to take a peek into the Kamel GT series during their designated race slots will find it's not only alive, but full of action. Having built a reputation for producing thrilling, unpredictable races, the Nissan and Audi drivers return once again to kick off the 2018 season. And the classic cars find themselves on a classic course in the form of Spa-Francorchamps. We'll see if they deliver on the excitement once again as we get ready to watch round one of the iRacing Kamel GT series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes, our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sean, we've been here countless times now, but just in case anyone has never seen or heard of Spa, why don't you tell the audience about the track?
It never gets old, Joe. I always love getting back to Spa-Francorchamps. Designed in 1920 and laid out on public roads. You know, the original course had 25 turns and was 14.9 kilometers long. That's just under 10 miles here. After World War II, the track was shortened slightly, but remained the fastest road circuit in Europe and had a nasty reputation for being dangerous. In 1981, safety concerns forced the track to shorten up a bit. Cut out about 7 kilometers of this track, that old layout. Now, the modern layout we're racing on today has been around since about 2007. 7 kilometers has 4.3 miles and 20 turns today. But the best way to get an idea of what this place is really like is to jump on board the GSRC Audi and take a trip around Spa.
All right, we've got Brian Strodbeck in the GSRC Audi, so let's do a lap around Spa. La Source is going to be an excellent place to pass, but on the first lap, it can be a bit chaotic. Watch out for the over-under if you do attempt an overtake. It'll be extremely important to focus on getting to the power quickly out of this sharp hairpin. But now, we plunge downhill towards Eau Rouge. Hold it off to the right, and then aim to clatter across the curbing to the left. Get on the brakes at the bottom of the hill and use the compression for grip. Over Radillion, the car is gonna get light, but once again, managing to apply the throttle early will pay dividends down the way. The Kamel Straight is an uphill climb, and that makes every ounce of momentum you carry extremely important. Cars are likely to use their opponent's draft to try to overtake as well, so you need your head on a swivel. Into Lacombe, this is one of the most popular places to pass, but the switchback of the chicane leads to some gutsy defense moves. Granted, they don't always turn out great. Up through Malmedy, we're now at the highest point on the track. We immediately head back downhill into Ravage, which invites you to try and brake later than you should. Trust me when I say you should resist that urge. Understeer will be a problem for everyone around this bend. Try to keep the car off the right on exit to set up for No Name Corner. I've always found it embarrassingly easy to drift wide here and rack up 1Xs. Now we come back down into the valley and race towards Pouat. The elevation keeps dropping all the way around this double apex corner. It takes a lot of patience in the Audi waiting to get back onto the throttle so that you know you'll stay on course. At the bottom, come back across to the left to line up for Fanyes. This medium speed chicane always feels like a compromise, and neither apex tends to feel like you got the most out of it. Still, it'll be easy to lose time here, so don't relax because this is a track where you can't let your competitors gain an inch on you. Up next is Stavelot. This set of right-handers is extremely important to your lap time. The second apex is definitely much more important because, as you can see, it leads out onto the backstretch where you'll be on the throttle for a long time. At this point, you've made your bed and all you can do is minimize your steering inputs around the gentle curves. But with this being an older car, Blanchimont is definitely not flat out. That doesn't make it any easier to get it picture perfect, and a clean line will still pay off. Then we fly towards the last great place to snag a pass, into the bus stop. The four-wheel drive does allow you to get a little aggressive on the curbs, but you do still want as much rubber contacting the pavement as possible. Once you know you've got the grip available, get on that right pedal. Hopefully you've kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Spa. And despite the incredible oomph that comes with the Audi, there's still quite a long lap around here. But drivers will certainly have their work cut out for them trying to navigate this classic track. Now, obviously, with this being the start of a new season, let's give a quick bit of coverage to last season and how it wound up, starting with the Drivers' Championship in the Nissans. Keith Ritchie came away with it again. Jamie Hall grabbed some great points towards the end and managed to cut it down to about 215 back. In fact, he was an incredibly close fight. Just look at that, 7 points between himself and Olenek for second place, but he eked it out. Fourth went to Nicholas Makanos, and Ardo Ihamaki slipped all the way down into fifth by the end of the season. Looking at the team's championship on the prototype side, we've got Richie and Hall and the Silk Cut Jaguar team, winning by a whole 238 points over Toyota, with Olenek and Mukanos running in them. Iamaki and McLeod wound up in third, quite a ways back, and you can see it's just the same jumps, just about evenly split as you go down to fourth with Sauber and Mercedes. And then Repsol Broom bringing up the tail end of that overlay with about 1,800 points back, so not quite close on that one, but they were still in fifth. Meanwhile, Sean, the Audis, what did that look like in the Drivers' Championship?
Well, it was Joni Hagner. Kind of ran away with it there at the end. Strodbeck, unfortunately, had missed several races and wasn't able to hang on to that. He led a good portion of the season. He'll finish second there. And Phillip, in and around the lake, Cunningham Racing there, wound up in third. Ben Laughter, Team Commodore there, they got a little something special for us this season, in fourth. And then Ove Trungerade, they're in fifth. And now let's look at the team championship here in the GTOs. And that was Philip Blake and his partner, Andrew Baki there, and Cunningham Racing, they finished first. And Trungerade and Shanahan there at the end of the Skull Bennett team, they finished second there at the end, just getting by Strodbeck and Quinn. Quinn only made a couple races, so it was really hard for Strodbeck to be the bell cow for that team with the number of races he missed, but still had a great season with that third place finish there for his team. And Joe, it's a whole new season now. I don't see Brian Strodbeck here. I don't know if he's going to be able to make these races this season or not, but you know what? I see some names that we saw earlier today in the Lotus 49. Ove Trungerade is here, of course. A newcomer for us. It was Joni. Say his name for me one more time. The Finn. Joni Kajanen. That's right. Joni Kajanen in an Audi today. So we'll get to see him and guys back. Ben Laughter's here and Michelle de Jong is here. Villarreal. So all your favorites in the Audis are back, and the Nissans, of course, Joe. A lot of favorites there back to see us here again in season one here for 2018.
Glad to see them, and just to tell you how long it is to get around this track, is we've only just been getting the Audis in now. It's about 2:20 a lap, just over 2 minutes for the Nissans. You can see some of them on the leaderboard now as we watch them continue on their second lap, hopefully going to get a timed lap in. Sean, this track kind of notorious for giving the 1Xs, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few drivers who don't get a timed lap in.
Boy, it's so many spots to pick. You know, pick the no-name left-hander at 9, or in Puhan, or even Blanchenmont. You don't get that quite right. You can pick up a 1X there. Fanyi, of course, a lot of chances down there. Rouge and Radion, you missed the line there. You can get over and get a 1X there. I will say in the Nissan, Rouge and Radion, look for flat-out competition. That Nissan just sticks through that complex going uphill, Joe.
Does not surprise me with the incredible ground effects and downforce on that machine. Just about under 2 minutes to go, and we're seeing a few drivers get their second lap in the Nissans now. Nick Mukanos only able to do fifth and no better on this qualifying effort. He might still be toppled by more drivers coming in as we look at Andrew Backey, who's currently sitting in 17th.
Over in the Audis, Michael Houghton was one and done, but that was enough to put him on the pole right now provisionally. The Texan with a 2:19.7.
Impressive stuff as we watch Krajcik in one of my favorite paint schemes, to be honest. They're the Tic Tac car, which is actually pretty close to how a few sports cars were decorated back in the 80s. I've seen some of the photos of the paint scheme. They look pretty wild, but they were eye-catching. And sometimes that's what you really needed when you were a sponsor, as Ashley Higham from the UK&I Club comes around, and I believe Ashley has finished both laps. Let me double check that. Yes, looks like Ashley has finished their 2 laps already. Hideki Koivisto putting himself in 12th currently.
Going to be really, really close for Nestoras Kiyosoglu, trying to get his last lap in here in the Audi. In the closing seconds, he's just barely going to make it across the line here for a time. His second lap, let's see if he goes faster.
Looks like he does not. Well then, with that, that's going to be the end of qualifying, so let's get through our grid order. On the pole, it's going to be Antti Lepisto, flanked by Rob Olenek on the front row. Then Ardo Yamaki will start behind them in third. Jamie Hall will be fourth. Philip in and around the lake, as he's now becoming known as, starts in fifth with Nick Mukanos behind him in sixth. He obviously got bumped down one more before qualifying was over. Jesus Basilius will start in seventh with John Keefe in eighth. John Hill, Parajohns right next to each other, starting in ninth with Clayton McLeod rounding out our top 10. Josu Leokada will start in 11th. Martin Krejcik begins this race on the outside of row 6 in 12th with Ashley Higham starting 13th. Milt Minter Jr. will be in 14th, and then P15 is Larry Krupp. Jim Ray starts off in the 16th position, and Marty Ollie starts in 17th with a few of the Audis you'll see farther down that will start behind them with no lap time. Sean?
Okay, Michael Houghton on the pole for the Audis. Villi Riola will start second. Michel de Jong third. John Malia in fourth. Ove Trengerade fifth. Nestoras Kiyosoglu sixth. Seventh going to go to Ben Laughter. Jacob Hohnkamp eighth. Franco Scurri ninth. Andy Purrs in 10th. Jason Dunphy 11th. Riley Thompson 12th. Hideki Koivisto 13th. 14th going to go to Andrew Baki. Yoni. Hi. Oh, I'm going to get that right. Help me, Joe. Yoni. Hi. Kajanen, yes, thank you. That's the last time. Kajanen. Brian Shanahan in 16th, 17th, Richard Morin, Stephen Bourne in 18th, 19th, Robert Plumley, and James Alex Brown rounding out your top 20. And you got Stephen Jones, Michael Steiner, and Alex Beck, who did not take times in their Nissans.
So they will be gridded, thankfully for them, in front of the Audis, but unfortunately our overlay is not able to show them until we get down to the bottom of the list. As the pace car now takes off, only a short, I'd say maybe a quarter of a lap around here for the pace lap. They start very, very late, just through Blanchemont. You can see right now. Then they'll weave their way through the bus stop. They are going to start on the second start line, which is after La Source. So they will have to wait because this is the endurance layout. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that they will finish the race, all the timing and scoring after this start takes place just after the bus stop, where they have the finish line where you see Formula One, if you've ever watched them race here, finish their races at. Roof Pace car is going to peel off early, and that's going to give Antti Lepisto the ability to control the pace, and he's not waiting at all. He's actually already taken off, and I think he wasn't aware that this starts on the downhill. Most everybody's kind of staying in formation, though. I'm not seeing any passes. Oh, and he slows it down once again, though. Think he might have gotten a message to stay behind the pace car. All right, green flag is out. Now, is that going to mean he gets a penalty in this as Antti Lepisto accelerates away? Doesn't get a great jump, but he stays ahead of the car of Rob Olenek. Oh, a little bit of contact I thought I saw between Iamaki and Jamie Hall as they came into Eau Rouge. The rest of them swinging through there. We've got one wreck, but we're going to have to come back to it later. Let's go to the Audis.
All right, Joe. Well, that's Houghton that gets a big break. He did it right before the end of the last chicane there, and he's off and away. Villarola in second, Michel de Jong as they make their way up through Radillon. Everybody getting through clean so far in the Audis. Back through the field, they've gone line astern.
That was Jim Ray who got bumped at the start with the Audis, but man, up at the front of them, we've already had a change for position. We missed it. Jamie Hall has gotten in front of Antti Lepisto. In fact, Rob Olenek and Jamie Hall both have gotten in front of them and are first and second, respectively. Coming down through Puhan. In fact, it's looking like Lepisto is falling back from them very quickly and already under threat by Ihimaki and Philip Lake, looking to get themselves onto the podium early in the race. So quite a bit of drama here early in the Nissans at the start, and we're not even done with lap 1. You can see the fight going on there in the mid-pack, down for 5th, 6th, and 7th place. John Keefe manages to sneak by Jesus Pasillas before Blanchiment.
All right, back to the Audis real quick. You know, Houghton got off to a great jump. Well, it didn't last long. Villarreola has tracked him down here and reeled it back in to just about a half second. Michael Houghton has gotten away with just nothing yet. Like I said, Ruola is on the hunt.
And we've got a damaged Nissan that they're having to sneak by. That's Milt Minter. And he was kind of in the racing line, but he really had nowhere to go. He was just running his race. He must have had an incident earlier. I'm checking just to see what happened with him. Looks like coming out of Stavilo. Meanwhile, we got a pass for the lead. And the prototypes heading up to Lacombe. This is Jamie Hall looking on the outside of Rob Olenek. He's going to make him go the long way around to the first apex. If he can hold onto it, it swings back to him. But then they've got Malmedy as well. Oh, and a big bobble from Jamie Hall. That's going to cost him 2nd place, almost making door-to-door contact with Antti Lepisto, who wants to get back ahead of him. Can't quite get it done. He holds off his fellow countryman. Ardo Ihimaki gets his nose in, makes a little bit more contact. Very rough and tumble here, Sean, in the early stages of this race.
Yeah, guys, it's a 40-minute one. I don't know if anybody let them know that. You don't get any free repairs here.
Remember, it's 5 minutes shorter, so they're hustling now. Remember, those extra 5 minutes are, I guess they mean something in these early days.
I guess so. Hey, battle really, really heating up here now. Michel de Jong starting to feel it now behind the wheel of his Audi. The Jägermeister, number 15, on its way to catch John Malia.
Malia defending successfully down into Ravage. They're going to swing through No Name. De Jong still putting the pressure on. And as he comes out of there, he's going to stay about where they were. Now, one thing that I find interesting, and I'm not sure if this is just an error on my screen, I'm seeing a lot of marbles around, Sean. Are you seeing that the track is very, very rubbered in?
Yeah, I am seeing that, Joe. Well, I wonder what the starting state was. Let me check that real quick. But I am seeing a lot of trash.
Oh, and Jesus Pasillas has a problem. This is coming out of the bus stop. Sean, I have to imagine this Nissan is a nightmare in these slow first and second gear corners with that turbo lag.
It really is, Joe. Yeah. Yeah, the tight sections of this turn, very, very tough in that Nissan.
Of course, there's mostly high-speed corners around this track in that car, but bus stop's certainly not one of them, as Leo Cotta in a nice little battle here. This is for 10th position. Looks like Martin Krajcik overtaken by Ashley Higham. That's going to put him back into the clutches of McLeod as well. Krajcik fending off successfully from the Nissan. Now they come and plunge downhill. Very steep drop down here into the incredibly fast Puhan corner, double apexer. Starting to stretch themselves out now, each getting their own little bit of track. Let's check back in on the Nissan, or on the Audis. We haven't looked at them in a while. And looking at our leaders, Rolla still has not given up on Houghton.
He hasn't, Joe, and he just started to reel him back in as they got off the Kamel straight. Houghton really lost a lot of ground to Ruola. He got a nice toe there, and as they've been able to hold him down here through the turns, now they make their way down to Puhan. We'll see how things work out here. Houghton gets through the left-hander there pretty smooth, actually. See if Rolla can close him up here. Rolla taking it down tight real quick there, but doesn't make up any ground.
Houghton did look a tad wide to me, but the good news for him is, especially at a track like this, there is no incident limit in the iRacing Kamel GT series, so these drivers not really having to worry so much about the off tracks.
Yeah, and he's got plenty of time left, obviously. Okay, no reason to get nervous here. It takes just under 2.5 minutes to get around Spa in this Audi. Plenty of time to work here. Be patient. Take care of the car. Try not to burn up those tires too much.
Up at the front of the Nissans, it is hot and heavy, and actually we just missed a big bobble from Philip Lake coming through Lake Coombe. He was on the back of Ardo Yamaki and dropped back from that error, but just up ahead of them is Jamie Hall, who for a moment was within 0.2 of Rob Olenek.
Oh, sorry, Joe. Battle for third. Malia getting by De Jong. Maybe not for long. De Jong coming up alongside him here down the front straight.
Got a great run out of the bus stop, sends it in deep into La Source. Can he get the traction off the corner? Oh, he doesn't. He slows it down. He might have missed a shift in there. Oh, and he moves over right in front of Tranqueray.
Yeah. Can't imagine Ove was very happy about that.
Oh, and Ove was way over the curbs. Yeah, that is a definite.
He's hot now. That Scandinavian's melting in his seat right now.
I was going to say, it's just a chain reaction of errors. In the meantime, De Jong still fending off Malia, who had another go into Lacoombs. The number 2 can't do anything with it. Oh! Late dive into Malmedy, and somehow he does not get chopped off by De Jong.
No lane for you.
Incredible. I can't believe he stuck his nose in there. That was as late as they come. Desperate moves here that we're seeing in the Audis. And these two fighting means that they have already lost about 5 seconds to first and second place Houghton and Ruola. Look at Malia just staying right in the tire tracks of Michelle. Doing everything he can to try and put the pressure on. The New Yorker is hungry to try and take this podium away.
It's still so close.
Oh, actual contact that time. I wonder if Malia just has a very different brake bias from De Jong. Got a little bit of damage on the front. Now, Sean, does that affect the car much, or is this not really an aerodynamic dependent car?
No, it is going to affect the car.
And a little bit off track. They come together slightly. Four-wheel drift from Malia to save the car. And it's going to be a drag race. Looks like he may have missed his shift. Are we going to go 3 wide? Here comes Kiyogoslu. Oh, they come together again. Banging doors. Nestora says, I've had enough of this. You two fight it out. I'll take the 3rd place away. Still side by side. They come together. Cars flying as Malia flips through the air.
Oh, jeez.
We're going to watch on board from Ove, who had a fantastic view of everything, but I think got into the wall trying to avoid it.
He did.
Ooh, yeah, he got hit by that, so there was contact with him as well.
I'm just almost afraid to say anything, Joe. That was not good.
Well, what I do know of De Jong, I think there are going to be some words exchanged as we see cars 3 wide down into Lacombe. Audi's putting on a show today. We see more action back here in 10th with Brian Shanahan. I'm actually trying to find them myself here. Back up to the Audi lead.
Houghton and Ruola's still an item here.
Ruola's dropped back quite a bit, though. Remember, he was within a few tenths before and is now a second and a half between them. Just trying to gather my bearings after all the action sent me looking around. But we've jumped up to the lead, overall lead here. Olenek about 7 tenths ahead of Hall, who's got about a second over third place Lepisto. Oh, and Krejcik having problems a little bit farther down the pack.
Boy, not just Krejcik. I think it started with Clayton McLeod, who was the first car that started to spin, and then Jesus Pasillas behind him, he spun. But Krejcik looks to end up with the worst of that here.
McLeod, if I didn't know it, he better just look like his brakes failed or something. Although maybe he could have been put off by Leocada, who was close behind him in the braking zone. Maybe just got distracted.
Well, Clayton's still mired back here in 10th place. He hasn't gained any, he hasn't lost any, Joe.
Leocada's not done, though. He's on the back of Ashley Higham, looking for a way around, bobbing and weaving as they come up to Blanchimont. He backs off, knowing he has to go single file through this fast left-hander. Is he going to set the person ahead up for... tries to outbrake him down into the bus stop. And Olenek, in the meantime, has also had some issues. We're going to get the replay of that, and that may have been traffic as he pulled ahead of Robert Plumley. Plumley could not get his Audi stopped, and on top of it, it looks like James Brown was parked at the apex of La Source. What in the world? Well, that happened a little bit before, so he got... Well, interesting. Okay, he got blocked because Hideki Koivisto got tipped in front of him and had nowhere to go. That's why he was stationary. There you can see that incident just ahead of them from the blimp view. And it was a mess, to put it lightly, through that hairpin.
Boy, a lot of trouble out here right now. Martin Ollie just had a moment there in his Nissan. Cars seem to be going off all over the place right now, Joe.
And Ollie is going to take it into the pits, actually, so he must have gotten some damage from that incident. As you can see, our Nissan's really weaving through traffic. Those are our two leaders, Hall and Lake.
And Mukanos and Krejcik, they just keep going at it. They're slugging on each other right now. They have switched positions probably half a dozen times in the last 2 laps, Joe.
Well, I hope 2 weeks was enough time to catch your breath, Sean, because we are back in the thick of it right from the get-go as Mukanos gets a good run on Krejcik, but not good enough as we come back to our leaders who are still fighting for that lead as they weave through traffic. In fact, we got a three-way fight now because don't count out Ardo Ihamaki and that Miller Nissan. Out of the bus stop they go, spreading apart as the accordion effect stretches them out. Hall continues to lead as they come around the La Source hairpin, having completed another lap, heading towards Eau Rouge.
And they're going to run Jacob Hohenkamp in a really bad spot.
That did affect the momentum of Philip Lake, though, or excuse me, of Jamie Hall. Lake's going to come up beside him. He's got a nose ahead, but he's going to go the long way around, and I think that was a lift from Hall to let him through. Not done with the traffic yet. They've got Joni Kajanen coming up next.
Yeah, I tried to say that damage makes a difference here. It's not making much of a difference for Philip Lake right now, but it does hurt the aero to an extent. Maybe not so much as, let's say, a Gen 6 Cup car.
Yeah, I have to imagine it makes it difficult to handle in the corners. Ooh, more traffic coming up ahead. Michael Steiner and Ben Laughter, they're going to have to split them. Coming up to Fan Yees, both of our leaders making it through fine. Unfortunately, Ardo Yamaki gets the bad end of the stick being held up through this chicane. But what a battle between these teammates up at the top. Brand new paint schemes, brand new season. But the same old action we're used to seeing here in the iRacing Kamel GT Series, as Lake has to break big time to get past Nestoras Kiosoglu. This allows the car of Yamaki to close back in on our top three.
I was watching Rob Olenek. He's trying to get back on pace here now. He's going to have to start to make his way through this traffic. He's chasing Lepisto and Yamaki right now, not that far behind him.
They see Olenek after his early issues trying to make a comeback. Meanwhile, we might have a change for second. Yamaki with a great run on Jamie Hall, who's also got a run on Philip Lake. Are we going to go 3 wide for the lead down into Lacombe?
Yes,
Yamaki says, yes, we are. And they make it through the first part. They make it through the second part. Can they clear Malmedy? How in the world did they make that work? Let's look at the replay, Sean.
I'm speechless during this race, and I don't want to say anything. No, you shouldn't be doing this here, but they did it, and they all survived. What an incredible move.
Just amazing respect between these drivers. Everybody wants to fight as hard as they can, but nobody is willing to give an inch. Now that they've spread apart for just a moment, why don't we at least jump over and give some love to the Audis and recap where they sit, because at the moment, Houghton is spread away, and they're actually just about to lap him here in the Nissans. Ruola is dropped back about 5 seconds.
This could be help for Ruola coming up right here. Is Houghton under threat now? They're making their way by, but things going to jam up here when they get down to the chicane. They should all probably clear him before we get there.
Bad moment for Jamie Hall. That costs him some time. Maybe a little bit for Houghton as well.
It's funny, Houghton manages to wind up with the 10 on his car. It looks like his livery there is Windows Microsoft 10. Or I'm sorry, Microsoft Windows 10.
Of course, they've updated that to be Microsoft Windows 3.0 to complement the fellow teammates in the Commodore machines.
Yeah, I love the 3.0 reference, but the coincidence of the fact that the 10 winds up with the car, I thought was pretty funny.
Now all they need is the Mac OS.
Yeah,
and they've completed the trio. Meanwhile, we're watching this fight here for fourth. That's Rob Olenek and Antti Lepisto.
Yeah.
Lepisto fending him off successfully into Lacombe.
Yeah, but for how long? Olenek's been coming, man, for several laps here.
I'm trying to see, is that the Toyota paint scheme but in black on Olenek?
It is, yes.
It looks snazzy.
It does, indeed. Someone in the YouTube just said that the Windows 10 is going to crash. We hope not.
Let's hope he's got a nice stable setup on the car.
Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Lots of cooling.
All right. So we took a look at the lead for the Audis, jumping a little bit farther back. Nestoras, this is my hard one. You might have a hard time with Kaijin and Kiosoglu. Is that right for a third place?
Kiosoglu, yes, Kiosoglu, which I got right from day one. And I can't say the poor Finn's name.
You say his name, and I'll say Kaijinen, and we'll be even. He's holding out a great podium. Has 3 seconds over Ben Lafner. Not really under threat. That could change with the traffic, as we've seen. Nestoris has had his fair share of action happen around him, though. Number 16 trudging on anyways.
Yeah, this Yoni Kajanen guy, I don't know where he's been, but welcome aboard in the Lotus 49 and the Kamel GT series. Maybe we'll see him in the Lotus 79 tomorrow in the CTC Championship.
A couple races ago, I did get to commentate on him racing in there. I'm not sure if he was a regular there first and has just migrated, but we've seen that a lot, Sean, in these retro series, that once a driver tries one of them, eventually they kind of bleed over into one of the others.
Yeah, they do. And I'll tell you what, this is some of the most competitive racing we broadcast here at GSRC. A lot of fun. Bring your retro series to us. We'll be happy to make some great TV, man.
Now all we need is maybe some retro rallycross cars. That would be pretty cool. Up and over the hill, Kajanen goes, trying to chase down his teammate Ben Laughter. Just about a second between them for the moment. And things, looking through my time in scoring, I'm seeing them actually start to finally spread out. Everybody's really getting their own piece of track. In fact, the closest fight I can see is for 11th in the Nissans. That's between Jones and Krupp, neither of whom have gotten a whole lot of screen time yet, so it seems fair enough that we give them a little bit of love here. Currently, Krupp, having started this race in 15th, has bumped himself up 4 positions into 11th. Jones has made more spots than that, started 18th and is currently 12th.
That's an iRacing livery on that Jones car. I thought it was STP, honestly, for a moment there. It's got the STP colors.
Certainly are pretty colors. Look at it, and that's one of the other things that I love about these retro series is the paint schemes that the drivers come up with. Typically very, very cool looking, and oftentimes pay great homage to classic schemes. Meanwhile, 25th overall, I'm seeing potentially got something. Looks like James Brown and Andrew Backey. And a nice little fight. And this is for 10th position in the Audis.
Yeah, well, it's Backey trying to get off on the good foot here, and with James Brown up in front of him.
Oh, and a battle for the lead has erupted. Ardo Yamaki has caught Philip Lake. He's around the outside of Ravage. Not sure when this started to kick off. Looks like there was a mistake into Lacombe for Philip Lake, and that's what allowed him to close in. But the Finn, seeing what he can do to try and pry it away from the UKNI driver. Oh, and a big mistake from Philip Lake. Ooh. They come together. We might want to go back live now. And, that damage must have had a lot of problems for Yamaki because he is off the track in the grass. His day is done. He's parked it.
Open Jamie Hall for the lead. Lake going to get back on in second there, Joe.
Once we watch this replay from off-board, we might want to jump on board for Iamaki, and you could see him squirm. He saw it coming, just figuring out where the car was going to go. Here we go. Going to ride from on top of the hood. Yeah, he saw that puff of dust, and he thought, uh-oh. But it was too late even by then. Well, Philip Lake able to continue. Jamie Hall inherits the lead. And now Antti Lepisto gets promoted up into third. Even more confusing since it was Lepisto's teammate that just dropped out.
Yeah.
Same paint scheme on the car. And Lepisto making quick work on Lake. The damage on that Texaco Avalon Nissan causing it to have a bit of a limp now.
Yeah, and you know what? This is going to open things up for Rob Olenek now. I'll tell you what, completing his comeback, a podium might be possible here, Joe.
I think it's very possible. Lake has to go for 14 more minutes. And the way his pace is looking, it's not looking good. Meanwhile, Jones in yet another battle. Excuse me, Yoni. Read my notes wrong here. That's Yoni Kajanen and Ben Laughter. Thought our director was using shorthand there. This is in the Audis for the 4th position. Top 5 spots really shuffling around in both classes today.
A couple of teammates out there having a little fun right now. Kajanen getting the run there, though, at the bottom of the hill. Now coming up top. Looking good down the straightaway. 2 by 2. Here we go.
Side by side into Lacombe. It's Laughter to the inside. Kajanen to the outside. Who's better on the brakes? Kajanen tries to cut him off, but there's no room there.
Oh.
He slides into the grass, is able to come back on, and doesn't lose a position unless you count him being fully ahead of Laughter.
Yeah, Andy Purr is a full 14 seconds back. He's in good shape.
That's
Lots
going to
of
make
work to do.
The post-race debrief between teammates just a little bit awkward. His Laughter is not slowed down to give the spot back.
Hey, you know what? Hats off to Michael Houghton. The guy with the number 10 on his car. You know what? It's been a pretty dominant performance right from the start. He got a nice jump on the field, and Villarreal not been able to do anything with it, although he's been faster at times. Not been able to close on him at all. Full 10 seconds back.
And we know how fast Roll is as well.
Yeah, that's what's got me kind of stunned here. I'm like, whoa.
Looking at Rolla's car here on the cameras, I don't see any damage, so this seems to be just raw pace.
Yeah, no, this is Houghton kicking his tail right now. I'm going to be honest with you. Mike is wheeling that Audi around this track.
Well, keep in mind, in last season, we watched Houghton race in the Nissan, and I think this is some of the first times we've seen him in the Audis. Makes me wonder if he is much better suited to low downforce machinery.
Yeah, he might have missed his calling last season. Maybe the car he should have been in. We saw some great races in the Audis last season. And boy, he's getting us off to a good start here. Great drive going on.
Yeah, wait till we get drivers such as Ruscola and Hagner in here and see how he fares when they are on the grid. So let's run you down on the top 5 of each of our classes since we're down in the dying stages. Jamie Hall continues to lead, and Antti Lepisto's trying his best to run him down. He's sitting in second, only 2 seconds back, but he's got just a flood of traffic in front of him right now. Philip Blake sits in third and is actually not too far behind Lepisto. So he's found his pace after dealing with that damage for a little bit. Oh, and Jesus Pasillas, we're going to jump out of this rundown. Oh, he had a problem with, it looks like, Alex Peck. Peck was lap traffic trying to get out of the way. Oh.
Yeah, I think Alex guessed wrong.
Yeah, I think he didn't track out quite as much as Jesus expected, so kind of just a miscommunication. I wouldn't really put it on either driver too much. Anyways, back to our rundown. Philip Blake, as we said, in third. Still able to potentially hold on to this podium, depending on whether or not Rob Olenek can run him down. He's running out of laps to do so. He's got 2 seconds to make up. He's sitting in fourth. And then rounding out the top 5 of the Nissans is John Keefe, the number 26. We've really looked at him a whole lot today. He started in 8th, gained 3 positions. This is not a bad run for John. What do the Audis look like in the top 5?
Okay, well, it's Michael Houghton dominating this race right now. Just under 10 seconds to the good on Villarreal, who himself has had a great run today, but not fast enough to catch Houghton. Now another 9 plus seconds behind Ruola is Nestoras Kiosoglu. who has had a great run himself, Joe. Up 3 spots and looking at a podium finish here if you just keep things together, because Ben Laughter's still a good 5 seconds behind him. And Laughter, whereas he's got good pace, he's got a bit of a battle behind him from Joni Kajanen. And that is your top 5 here in the Audis.
Can you also keep things together? I see what you did there, Sean. Well, we've got 8 minutes left to go. If you want more action, if you haven't had enough, which I don't know how at this point, because I've certainly seen plenty in this race alone, you've got just a few more minutes to go for something else to erupt.
We had 3 wide in Lecumbe and nobody died, okay, Joe? What more do you want than that?
And Mukanos and Pasilius in a nice little fight, but I think Pasilius has got some damage because he gets easily overtaken by Mukanos for that 8th position.
Yeah, Pasilius' car is very bent, Joe. It's very bent.
But he's coming back at him.
With a
side by side through Blanchimont, not easy as well. Sorry to cut you off there, Sean, but tense moments. Pasilius to the inside, down to the bus stop. Mukanos tries to come back at him, but he's going to have to stay in line. Mukanos settles for 9th.
Don't ever tell a driver he's driving junk, okay? Problem with James Alex Brown, hard shunt for him. Boy, and that was getting into Eau Rouge is where he lost it.
I was going to say, that's an unusual place for the car to wind up. Okay, it looks like we're going to see on the replay here, he actually put the car to the inside. So as he comes up, he'll come in a little bit too hot. You'll see him hit that outside barrier. And then because of where he was placed, he just decided, you know what, I got a clear track. I'm going to pull it completely across and make sure I stay out of everybody's way.
That was quite a wild ride for him.
Meanwhile, Laughter and Kajanen are back at it again. Is Laughter going to be a little bit more kind to his teammate this time? Is Kajanen going to be a little bit more circumspect around Ben? They complete another lap. Not the optimist today, Sean.
No, I don't think so.
They come down the hill after La Source. Not a good enough run for the Finn.
I think Ben's taunting him right now. Could be on the verge of a 15-yard penalty here.
Oh, they're about dead even over Radillion. With the draft starting to come into play for Kajanen, this is going to give him an opportunity. This is where he got tilted off the track before. Can he make it happen this time? He's fully ahead. He can clear him if he wants to, and this time he gets it done. Meanwhile, battle for first. Anti-Lepisto side by side just behind these guys coming in to Lecumbe's as well. Lepisto fully passed, but is he going to come back at him? Tries to find some way around. He gets tipped around. Lepisto does a bat turn to get it back going. And Jamie Hall, is he slowing to let him back through? We're going to watch the replay first. And this has allowed Philip Blake to get back in it despite his damage. Comes through Lecumbe. He's fully past him here, Sean. And then I'm not sure if it was a late move over or if maybe the number 11 just didn't quite time it right to get all the way to the right side of the track.
Yeah, I think only he knows here at this point.
I'm going to watch on board Hall's view, see what he sees. Hall had quite a bit of room on the right side there. That's a really tough call. And now Hall's in a position where he can't hand the position over even if he wanted to, because Philip Blake is right there behind Lepisto.
There he is. Hey, I'm going to give you an update real quick because it won't last long. Ben Laughter back ahead of Joni Kajanen. Kajanen fighting back. Oh, watch out.
Here come the leaders. Laughter's trying to get back to the racing line. Manages to stay out of the Nissans as they swing through.
Joni tried to cut it off there. And the inside there, he's coming around the inside now.
Defensive move from Ben Laughter, but they've got Philip Lake coming up the inside, gonna make it 3 wide through La Source. They come out the other side. Oh no, they don't! Jamie Hall gets tipped. Ben Laughter is slowed up. Joni Kajanen takes away that 4th place. There's only so many times you can try 3 wide around here.
You know, I think the Audi had a better track through, and the Nissan was a little slow there, and they just make that very slight contact battle for the lead, though.
Once again, Hall and Lepisto. This time, Lepisto's fully passed. Doesn't get spun around. And still they stay ahead of Rob Olenek, sitting in 3rd, waiting and watching patiently. Let's look at the replay since we only just caught the end of this pass. Oh my goodness.
This is just insane right now. Don't look down. 3 minutes to go.
You'd think this is the championship decider right here.
Race number 1. Number 1.
Boys, you're setting the expectations high here. I don't know how you're going to top this in the weeks to come. And it's not over yet.
Good point. Very, very good point. It's like, geez, we got to live up to this every week.
2.5 to go. Should be getting white flag this time by. Lepisto starting to stretch his legs out, putting a gap on Jamie Hall. Boy, that Finn has had to work for this lead. Multiple attempts at a pass. Got spun around 180. Had to get the car going again. That was a brilliant recovery from him to whip the car around and get it, get the traction and get out of there. And somehow still be fighting. We might actually get one more lap after this.
Yeah, because I've got Michael Houghton's across the line. I'm showing he still has a lap and a half to go now at this point.
Well, it's Lepisto that decides it because he's the leader. Oh, and unfortunately for a Hall, Villirola was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. You can see how much length on track that cost him. And after this race, though, I have a feeling that maybe these 3 drivers would like a little bit of a calmer finish.
Okay, now Nestoras Kiosoglu, who has had 3rd place this whole race, pretty much, Joe. Got to watch out here. Joni Kajanen on the attack. Just 2 seconds faster last time by. Only 3.7 seconds separate the two.
Joni's got the bit between his teeth. And Laughter seems to be coming along with him, although they're going to be split by Keefe. Oh, meanwhile, Pears and a nice little fight here for the 6th position, trying to hold off Hohenkamp. Successfully fends him off. Ooh, remember we wondered about Jamie Hall's damage and whether he could hold on to the podium? Well, I think he'll keep the podium because Philip Blake is about 13 seconds back, but look at Rob Olenek. All right, Lepisto coming up as the clock ticks down. Remember, it's an early start-finish line here. It's going to be tight, but we're going to get one more to go. Just seconds on the clock. White flag is out for Antti Lepisto. He stretched it out to 3 seconds over Jamie Hall. Now very much under threat as Rob Olenek goes a little wide and loses traction big time. That hurts him what was 0.5 of a second. Boosts up to 1.1. Oh, what could have been a great fight here at the end. It could still come back together depending on traffic ahead of them. But they don't have any Audis anywhere near. Robert Plumley would be the next one in line. Looking through the field, unfortunately, most of our battles have fallen out, although McLeod and Hill fighting for 6th still. These two longtime drivers in this series at this point. Up and over Radillion they go. Oh, McLeod is right tucked up underneath him. Is it going to be enough, though? These cars typically not giving much draft. And he isn't close enough. Ooh, defensive move, though, from Hill into Lacombe, so he felt threatened anyway, Sean.
I guess he did, yeah. Boy, just everything on the line here. Smoke him if you got him. It's time.
Certainly is the time to make a move if you have any opportunity. This battle still staying very, very tight between them. But we've got to go to Antti Lepisto. Started the race in first, wasn't in first for much of it. He jumped the start just a little bit, but we don't think he was penalized, and he's going to take the win here at Spa-Francorchamps in round 1. Jamie Hall with a nice second, and Rob Olenek in third. Meanwhile, Michael Houghton in the Audis. This man has found pace, Sean.
He really has. And again, from the time the green flag dropped, Philip Blake right there with him. But it's Michael Houghton, the real story in the Audis today, beating Villi Raiola by about almost 15, or I'm sorry, a good 10 plus seconds. Raiola going to come across here out of the chicane. He'll come across second, and Nestoras Kiosaglou with a very, very quiet race, Joe, is going to finish out that podium there in third.
And that battle behind him is between Hill and McLeod. Oh, McLeod gets into the back of him in the final corner, and that's going to deny him the opportunity, so Hill will keep that 6th place.
And Joni Kajanen, this is the second time he's done this today. Joe, that's 11 spots he gained to get to that 4th place. He started 15th in this race in the Audis and finishes just off the podium.
Great job by Joni. Certainly seems to have the chops in this vintage machinery. As the rest of the cars start to slowly trickle across the line. But with that, and with no other battles really taking place out on track, we're going to go to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. And on screen, you'll see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. We just watched round one of the 2018 season of the iRacing Kamel GT Series. Season one, we should say, of 2018. My goodness, if you missed that race, go back and watch the replay because those were some of the most intense moves I think I've ever seen in a Kamel race. And that's saying something because they have some really stunning races in this series, season after season. In the end, Ante Lepisto managed to come away from the win. Even though he started on pole, he did not make it easy for himself. Jamie Hall finished in second. And actually, I should mention, Ante even got on the chat afterwards and apologized for his jump start. He felt like in his words, he didn't deserve it, but I think Ante earned that win, if you ask me, no matter what. Rob Olenek finished in third, with Philip Lake finishing fourth. John Keefe comes home in the top five. John Hill, with a battle all the way to the end, finished in sixth, with Clayton McLeod in seventh. Jesus Basilius finishes in eighth behind him. P9 is going to be Nicholas Mukanos with Larry Krupp. Didn't give him a lot of screen time, but he gets a top 10 today. Not a bad job after starting 15th. Stephen Jones was behind him in 11th, and Ashley Higham finishes in 12th, followed by Alex Peck being the last of the Nissan still on track, finishing 13th.
All right. And then first overall for the Audis, it's going to be Michael Houghton with the big drive today. Billy Ruola, 15th, second in class. Nestoras Kiosoglu, third. Yoni, Kaishinen, there we go. I got it, Joe. Kaishinen, they're in fourth. Ben Laughter rounding out your top five. Andy Purrs, sixth. Jacob Hohenkamp, seventh. Jason Dunfree, eighth. Andrew Baki, ninth. 10th, going to go to Richard Morin. And let's see. I'll just finish out the class. So Robert Plumley in 11th, 12th. Brian Shanahan. James Alex Brown, 13th, 14th. Going to go to Riley Thompson. Franco Scurry, 15th in class. 16th, Hideki Cuevizzo. John Malia there in 17th in class. Michelle DeJong, 18th, 19th. Ove Trengrade. And Stephen Bourne rounds out the 20 of the Audis. You got Milt Minter Jr. back there, and Milt finished 14th overall, 15th for Marty Ollie in the Nissans. Ardo Iamaki, 16th, 17th. Michael Steiner, 18th. Martin Kreitschek. Let's see. Gio Leocota there in 19th, and 20th going to go to Jim Ray. Last car in the field there, guys. What a race.
Some great stuff, and we do have a couple interviews to do. Of course, we would probably, let's see, who should we start with here? Trying to figure out which was on our podium, I believe. Oh, Houghton, actually. Excuse me, that should have been easy. We've got our winner in the Audis joining us. And Michael, you had some good pace in the Nissans in the previous seasons that we've seen you race them, but man, it almost seems like it doesn't compare. A 13-second win. You stunned this field.
Oh, thank you, man. I put in a lot of practice laps, almost 500, and about 18 hours of practice over the last 2 weeks. So that, with a little bit of luck, we pulled off a win.
Now, obviously, one of the talking points for your team is that the Commodores are now joined by the Windows 3.0. Do you think that's added a little bit of luck, the new paint scheme?
Could be, man. We'll see what happens in the next few races here.
Do you, with all the practice that you put into this one, do you expect that pace will continue on throughout the rest of the season? Or do you think it's going to be a lot harder?
I think it's going to be a lot harder. I certainly got used to the track, but the car on different tracks is going to be a learning experience. It's going to be a learning experience throughout the season.
Well, again, congratulations. Fantastic race. And I have to say, you impressed us.
Thank you, sir. And shout out to Brett Alt. You, sir, thank you for watching. And this race is for Mindtrick Motorsports. Thank you, guys.
Hey, way to get one for Texas there, Michael. We appreciate it, buddy.
Yeehaw!
I got a real Texan there. Let us out with a yeehaw, buddy. I love that.
All right. Up next, Sean, it sounds like we got fourth place just off the podium for Philip Lake. Talk to him about his race.
Phil, tell you what, man, the podium wasn't far out of your reach there. Pretty exciting race, though. There was a lot going on here over the 40 minutes.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I'd have the pace to keep up with the lead pack, to be honest. And then once we finally hit the Audis, it felt like forever. Yeah, it really sort of played into my hands at first, and then it all went wrong from there, basically.
Well, that's the luck of it all sometimes. Tell us about your expectations going forward, though, in this season. At points during this race, it seemed like race 1 was race 12, the way you guys were charging out there. How do you expect to get through the rest of the season?
I think our goal for the Haviland team is just to try and put a little bit of pressure on the AAR boys, but I think we're aiming for second this season.
All right. Well, you know what? Pretty solid start with your effort there in fourth. And, well, I'm sure next week brings its own set of challenges at Interlagos, a track that gets very technical there in the twisty bits. How do you like your chances there?
Shorter tracks usually suit me a little bit better. So hopefully I'll be able to pick up the win there.
Well, Phil, as always, a real pleasure to talk to you, my friend. Go have a good evening. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll catch up with you next week.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. Thanks, guys.
All right, and that was Phil in and around the lake, and Joe has caught up with Ben Laughter, who himself had a pretty decent run today out here.
Yeah, he managed a top 5 in the Audis, and along with it had an incredible fight with his teammate Joni Kajanen. But Ben, after that battle, are you satisfied with that, or are you less than pleased?
Man, I've got 3 cars in the team in the top 5. I'm very satisfied. It was a tough field. A lot of talent, a lot of ability. Mike prepared like a champ to get used to this car and track, and that really showed today. And anytime I can be in the same conversation as Yone, I'm a very happy camper. So yeah, I'm really happy.
Yeah, and let's talk about that fight. You had it coming together up until Lacombe's. What are your feelings on that incident?
Oh, it was netcode. I totally blame the difference between Oklahoma and Finland on that one. We had room between us, and we both have raced around each other and know each other well enough to be clean, and that was just technology. But he ended up getting back around me anyway, so it ended up not mattering.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you two are in good terms. I wondered about that. I worried if we'd have a bit of an awkward post-race debrief with the team. But, man, fantastic job, fantastic paint schemes, and nice job for a top 5.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great job as always. I cannot wait to watch this one. It's a scorcher.
It really was. You'll be pleased. Trust me. All right. That was Ben Laughter, 5th place today. Next race, of course, was coming up in a week's time, but we'll get to that in a moment. Before that, we want to thank the Kamel GT community for once again coming together to help bring this race to air for another season. We were super happy to get to call this one as we watched that crazy accident down the front stretch after La Source there in the replay. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel. We're also on Facebook at just simply Global Sim Racing Channel. The next race is going to be at Imola. That'll be Saturday, December 23rd, just before Christmas. That'll be at 12 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.